at you, and after that strong game one, Noble need to regroup. It's really difficult coming off a 53-minute loss to get your head back around, but I trust those Noble boys to make it happen.
But that's just one of the aspects of being a pro player. You've got to learn how to bounce back, and if there's a team that I'm sure has plenty of experience with trying to handle their losses, it is going to be Noble. They are steadily progressing, and this is one of those opportunities to show we're not out of this just yet.
Kakulin and Scotty already banned out those first 2 rounds of bans. No surprise there. Gatekeepers also banned out Terra. Now Noble have a couple choices to make as there are still some strong picks up. Even have a chance if they want to go ahead and take Thoth away to do that now.
And it will be the RDO ban instead, waiting things out to see what Gatekeepers are going to offer. Last time we saw the first pick Osiris right away. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of run back from Mando Warrior, and sure enough, Gatekeepers once more with that Osiris.
As well as Akilla the Hun was playing, Mando Warrior was playing just as well from that solo lane side, diving in on the multiple members with his ultimate. It's not a huge targeter, so that's hard to do, making sure he can get as much disruption as he can, and Nemesis picked up for Noble.
Mando was really on point with those Osiris ults. It wasn't even just the cleanup kill factor, it was also the preventing of healing for Skeledon when he kept trying to make numerous dives onto a kill on that backside. I do love the decision from Noble, though, to strip away that Ganesh, give it to Wubbin, take it away from Pain.
Pain Devion was running the game with Ganesh, but anyone that's been watching Pain Devion knows he can do it just as well on the Athena. Those taunts so devastating for setting up either burning beads or setting up damage from Soul, who really can follow up.
It's like these guys are just trading out picks at this point. I mean, you've got the Soul locked in. This could be a potential flex pick to the ADC role or the mid lane, although I'd imagine that Akilla's trying to run the Soul instead of it being in the dual lane role.
Raijin locked in here for Noble to make sure they've got plenty of magic damage on their side. Robin, also the ban out for Noble as well.
Raijin is a tried and true god that Malzwell constantly speaks such high praises of, even when he was not considered to be in the greatest of places. So really excited to see what he chooses to do with this god. And considering the presence that they already have in that mid lane with the Nemesis, a lot of kill opportunity at the start of the game.
Gatekeepers ban out Erlong Shen, so they want to be the only ones with taunts going into this game, or at least that's what they're signaling. Bellona also gets banned out, limiting some of the options for the solo lane of Noble. Don't want to have to worry about either one of those 2 guys.
And I have to appreciate that, because Walrus was controlling a lot of those team fights as that game was progressing. Even though it was reaching such a late game period, it didn't matter. Walrus was still finding the important taunts, finding the important kills, able to box out Data Remember whenever he was forced out of his health bar.
Hu Yi picked up for Wowie. Wowie was helping out with those ultimates, but other than that, wasn't having a tremendous impact, but he does feel comfortable on this Hu Yi, so let's go ahead and run that back, and then Jingwei and Susano pick back up for Gatekeepers.
We didn't get to see too much out of Wowie's Hu Yi, but one of the things that we missed was he was bullying Data Remember pretty heavily in that dual lane when it was the laning phase. It was just once Noble started falling a little bit behind and the objective control became incredibly strong from Gatekeepers, they then had a very difficult time, or Wowie then had a very difficult time as far as trying to control that ADC carry as well as he was.
And you pointed out, that's what Pain Devion was doing a good job of. When they forced the pressure other areas on the map, then Data Remember is free to rotate, and Wowie can't just sit on top of him in lane and bully him around. So look for Pain Devion to continue to do that with this Athena, who he chose to go ahead and leveled up that shield crash first. That's no surprise, but that taunt is going to be really good at burning beads. We see them already coming out for Skeledon and Malzwall as well as Wowie, so he'll have chances to try and put those on cooldown.
Yeah, most players like to charge up that Athena one before going in for the taunt, but one thing a lot of pro players love to do is just walk right up to their target instead and use that taunt. It's just as effective, except you still have your escape after.
And that's something Pain Devion is able to do so well. We see him even with the sprint. More than likely just going to be used to help clear some of those slows from Skeledon and the rest of Noble, but also could be part of an engagement to help him save that charge dash to get out of there. As again, we have Pain Devion starting here in the mid lane along with Skeledon here in the mid lane, helping out Akilla the Hun.
It makes sense because Grave is trying to force out as much pressure as possible into that solo lane side. Knowing that their buffs could possibly be contested, they immediately threw Pain into that mid lane to stop Skeledon and Malzwall from rotating over to help out Walrus.
Able to clear evenly at least are Noble. That way they can come over and try and contest. This is Grave and Mando Warrior commit to it. Sprint does come out. Shell trying to help Skeledon stay alive. Body blocking from Wubbin and Walrus is good to force Pain and Mando Warrior to back off, and now they go back to speed buff to try and contest it.
Two of these things are not like the other, though, and it's going to be Moswell actually securing that speed buff for his jungler. Skeledon praising his mid laner right about now, but that level 2 advantage that Grave and Mando Warrior just tried to press could have been devastating for Noble's jungle. Fortunately enough, Moswell coming up clutch.
SPL Gatekeepers do settle, though, for those Fire Elementals and the mid-Harpies on the solo lane side as well. Pain Devion charging through, trying to put out some damage. He hasn't taken the taunt just yet, so until level 3, we don't have to worry about that, but Skeely getting some good return poke.
Skeely getting a little bit feisty there with Pain Devion in the mid lane, taking the aggressive pathing as well to the left mid Harpies. And with Moswell by his side, just trying to lock away that farm, and Skeledon taking quite a decent bit of poke from it, gonna heal up off of that Oracle next to Wowie.
And one more time, we see Wowie getting the early pressure on Data Remember in that lane, so he's happy to run it back as Mando Warrior cleans up Wubbin over here on that solo lane side, getting first blood. But Wowie again bullying out the Jing Wei and able to get those Harpies.
But Walrus, he doesn't have anything else to offer here. Unfortunately, still only level 3. Wubbin falling, and speaking of falling, it's going to be support for support. Moswell actually finding the kill onto Pain.
And things were very low for them here in mid lane. Look at Skeledon's health bar, but Moswell able to get that kill cleaned up, no problem. So that's going to be one for the mid lane on the side of Noble. But again, Mando Warrior on that Osiris has a kill helping him out against Walrus.
Grave and Mando Warrior, they haven't taken their own buffs until just now. So these timers are going to be pretty janky. So any thought process that Noble might have had about looking for a potential invade is going to be kind of difficult since they won't really know when those buffs went down.
Very likely, though, we'll see SPL Gatekeepers on Noble's side of the map to contest their buffs when they come back up, since it's going to be a while before they have any more farm from Mando Warrior and Grave, at least on their side of the map. Grave and Pain Devion grouping up, clearing out a little bit more ways and heading back to base here as Grave. I think he's back in for the first time. Best
possible outlook for him. He might as well just get those boots online, have a little bit of physical power added on top since they are T2. And sure, it's not the full-on boots, but still provides some mobility.
Able to get all these elementals, or SPL Gatekeepers. Just one more small win for them. We're about 3 minutes, 40 seconds into the game. Only 300 to 400 gold lead for SPL Gatekeepers. So nothing crazy, just a little bit of that first blood factor.
That's the only difference in this game so far, is that first blood having gone the way of Noble. But it was Mando Warrior who got that bounty, which is really important since he's going to be one of the more determining factors of team fights in the mid-early game stages.
He definitely was last game, so I'm sure Noble will still have plenty of nightmares of Mando Warrior diving on them, ripping their souls out of them, and he's going to be looking to do it again here in this game. Already sitting 1-0-0, and here they are, local for that speed buff on the right-hand side. Not able to contest it. Mando just going to have to back off.
And again, Skeledon speed buff being protected very well by his team. Moswell making sure to be ready for that rotation just to provide presence. That's one of the best ways to stop an enemy solo laner from trying to full commit onto your buff.
And this is what we see when we have these two teams who play so similarly and who are so even in skill. Both these teams are patient and objective-minded. Neither one of them want to go too aggressive or take that 50-50. They're going to try and set up a situation for themselves where they have an advantage.
And I think right now Gatekeepers are looking for the advantage as Pain's lurking around this left mid-Harpy section. Any point, he could just immediately look for that taunt in to Achilles, Supernova, or even Graves, Typhoon, and that's going to be the mindset here, already forcing out Moswell's Purification Beads.
Gets the taunt onto both Wubbin and Moswell, which is going to be very important in this game because Wubbin's the silence is very important at shutting down the follow-up from the rest of the team. So when both of them are taunted, they can't. But now Wubbin's getting caught in the Typhoon. Ultimate from Pain to Beyond. The Defender Olympus crashes in. They secure Wubbin. Walrus is low, and he's still looking to push forward with the rest of his team.
That damage mitigation from Pain to Beyond just completely negated the Tycho drones from Moswell, looking to burst him down. And speaking of which, Day is actually looking to take that boxing matchup with Wowie. Wowie able to just juke out the knockup, but Seems as though Day is actually getting the better end of the laning phase this time.
And Data, remember, didn't have to commit his ultimate in that engagement, so he does have the advantage as Wowie dropped those Suns downs on top of himself, so he'll keep looking to push.
The primary difference here is the fact that Wowie only has level 2 boots, and Data Remembers finished off his Ninja Tabi, but with assistance, it's going to force out Data Remembers' ultimate as Wubbin tries to chase him down, realizes that he's not going to be able to catch up, and just farms out that wave of Wowie instead. That
rotation was very important, though, and Wowie played it perfectly to keep Data Remember around long enough. He is able to escape, but at least equalize those ultimates back out, so Wowie's not at such a disadvantage on that duo lane side. Wubbin, though, falling a little bit behind Payne Divion. He's 0-2-0, and Payne does have that one kill from his Defender of Olympus from earlier.
Wubbin has just been punished pretty heavily this game. The 2 moments where he's been caught out, it's just been a clean wipe up immediately from Gatekeepers, not looking to waste any time.
A lot of members from SPL Gatekeepers hanging out on this solo lane side, trying not to let Walrus have an easy time of it. Payne does taunt in Skeledon. The follow-up is there from SPL Gatekeepers, but Nemesis shield's better, keeps Skeledon alive.
You just expect most of the pressure to happen in the solo lane side because that's probably where you're going to have the biggest advantage as a jungler for ganks. You know that you won't have to worry about an Aegis or purification beads, just the sprint. And maybe an ultimate that could have a little bit of an escape. Mando happens to have both, so he'll usually be fine from any ganks that tend to happen. Either way, though, we saw a lot of it from Grave in the first match where he was hanging around that solo lane side as a Nemesis, looking to burn out with the ult. Skeledon could potentially be doing the same thing, just trying to shut out Mando Warrior.
Despite the pressure they had this solo lane side, unable to contest the speed buff, were SPL Gatekeepers. They do at least come back and continue to get elementals and mid-harpies on that right-hand side. We even saw Payne kind of looking at Moswall there for a minute, and if he had gone for it, Moswall would not have had those beads, only just now coming back off cooldown. So if Moswall gets caught out again, he'll have a chance to try and escape as SPL Gatekeepers look to invade this blue.
And Mando just full committing a kill of the hunt, immediately destroying Wubbin. Only got a chance to drop the Darming Pillars, but it's not over just yet. Mando Warrior is going to be able to get away thanks to that sprint from Payne Divion.
And Wubbin gave up his life there, but they got to keep the blue buff. So he was happy to do it, but that's just been the name of the game so far. He's getting blown up. Now Payne taking a whole lot of damage. Mando Warrior throwing out those tethers to discourage any more aggression.
It was a great ult by Skeledon, but the only thing that didn't work out from that, he had no mana to follow up afterwards. Walrus doesn't have the damage just yet on Sun Wukong. He had a couple of cooldowns as well from looking for little bits of poke, and so Payne just gets to walk away for free.
Payne happy to walk away, happy to keep on going. Not using his taunt like in his kid, but just taunting to walk away. He's saying he's happy he's still alive. Moswall and Wubbin cleaning up some of those back harpies. As again, SPL Gatekeepers have a 3-1 kill lead now, about a 1,000 gold lead, just based off those kills and a little bit of farming that they've been able to get from those kills. Come back over to clean up the blue buff, our Gatekeepers.
The global presence and the setup that Gatekeepers have on their side, thanks to Payne on this Athena, is just worked out favorably for them so far. They've been all over the map. Payne, in particular, has been all over the map, just absolutely stopping Wubbin in his tracks anytime he tries to even poke his head somewhere he shouldn't be.
And that's what it means when you have Athena on your team. Your team's never really, you're never really in a true 1v1. Athena can come crashing in for you at any time as Noble established position over here on top of the Gold Fury. They're already knocking it down a little bit. Even committing the Dharmic Pillars here is Wubbin, and Wowie drops his ultimate over the top. Moswall here, and he's up on top of those drums as well. So Noble able to sneak away that Gold Fury, and Wubbin takes a little bit of return damage for the trouble. Ultimate comes out from Data Remember, and he keeps going in, looking for more damage. Wubbin able to get away, though.
He's just trying to buy time for Gray to rotate over. Even though Susano is incredibly mobile, the only thing that Gatekeepers are going to be able to find is the red buff from Noble, that purple buff not due to respawn just yet. And Walrus, of course, just boxing things out with Mando Warrior. You expect the Sun Wukong to have a less favorable laning phase against an Osiris.
And again, this is what Athena can do. One more time, come over. And now it's a 2v1 as the ultimate's committed from a kill of the Hun in mid lane. Grave goes deep for it, and Defender of Limits comes out, but doesn't even get a chance to crash in. Skeledon gets Grave, and Moswall goes back to base as well.
Unfortunately for Moswall, a kill of the Hun was on point with that Stellar Burst. Nowhere to go, considering that his teleport was down. And man, that was some pretty solid accuracy from Aquila.
Yeah, Killer the Hun's been playing well, played well last game too. In fact, he's a big part of the reason why SPL Gatekeepers are up 1-0 with those final judgments. This time, SPL Gatekeepers are able to contest the speed. Dharmic Pillars, though, coming out from Noble to try and help contest their buff, and I think they are able to successfully drop it as Skeledon does pick it up.
Skeledon's got some pretty nutty life RNG working out for him right now. Able to get it 3 times in a row against invades from Gatekeepers. But now it's not going to be the same story for Wowie on the opposite side of the map. Payne just wandering on over to pick up his newfound purple buff.
And look how aggressive Data Remember's playing over there, despite last game where Wowie was able to get the better of him. This time, he's hanging with him, actually a little bit ahead in terms of stacks on the Devourer gloves. That kind of thing, though, not too surprising for a Jingwei.
It's not surprising either because Wowie can't afford to play as aggressive as he was prior to this match. Now that Payne DeVion is on that Athena, knowing that if Day gets too low, he'll have to worry about the Athena ult. Wowie's not going to look for a boxing opportunity unless it's under his tower or he knows that Payne's ultimate is down.
And despite the fact that the last game went 53 minutes, this game already in the early game feels like it's been paced out just a little bit slower. After dropping a 55-minute game, no surprise that Noble is looking to be a little bit more cautious, and SPL Gatekeepers recognizing they have a chance to 2-0 and secure some much-needed points to get 3 here.
Considering the Dharmic Pillars, I would probably favor Noble as far as objective secure is going. It's very clear that Noble want to be the first ones aggressing onto the objective, considering what happened last game, where Payne just kept making those shot calls, securing all of that global farm objective.
Wubben hanging out in the jungle. They have the 3v3 as Grave does show up here. So Wubben, if there'd been any aggression, would have went for it. Payne moves in aggressively, and Wubben tries to catch him out, but the turn from Akilla the Hun is immediate. Skeledon ends up taking down Payne DeVion, though, who tried to take the aggressive path to the jungle and gets immediately blown up.
That was a beautiful ultimate from Akilla the Hun, just not able to find it. Skeledon as well, his timing was perfect on that Nemesis shield, not only healing himself, but also finding the kill. And now Manowar is in a place that he doesn't want to be, ulting away instead, but Data Remembers made the rotation, forcing Walrus into his ult, as Grave cleans up 2 in the back line.
Grave was right where he wanted to be, cleaning up that double kill. Now Wubben continuing to aggress on this side. As Data Remember is on the back end, uses his ultimate to get up and over the wall. So now he's back to safety, but Grave picking up 2 kills, coming up big.
And what looked like it was going to be in favor for Noble is actually all Gatekeepers. We've seen this one before.
Yep.
It just depends on how Noble's choosing to bite back into it this time.
Grave really having a big impact there on the back end of that team fight. That's what Susano can do so well, especially with his ultimate, able to pull multiple members, shoot it through the back line, clean up anybody who's low. Now it's Noble, still down about 2,000 gold here to SPL Gatekeepers, just trying to secure their speed buff, as again, Payne and Grave go in aggressive.
That was a great silence from Wubben, bought himself a little bit of time, but not able to get away from Grave, and now Moswell trying to find the return kill. So much damage, but not finding a home. Moswell instead getting run down by Mando Warrior.
And so safe was Grave there, using the Aegis to mute some of the damage and then squeak away. Mando Warrior, though, does end up cleaning up Skeledon, who also got the return kill as Grave did eventually fall, but that one's 3-1 in favor of Gatekeepers.
Wowie's trapped, having to defend that T1 tower, while Day is free to rotate over, helping out Akilla and Payne and shutting away this portal demon. Wowie, though, don't think he wants to let this one go for free, but Payne, he's got the taunts to potentially stop him. Sure enough, there it is.
Unable to contest that portal demon as well. He knew he'd essentially be throwing his life away if he committed any harder to it. Now SPL Gatekeepers have a real lead here, getting to about 3,000. 9-4 are the kills 15 minutes in, and Data Remember coming to establish some vision on the Gold Fury, the next big objective.
There actually isn't any vision presence on this Gold Fury for the moment, but with 2 members of Noble lurking around and Moswell being in trouble yet again, but dead before anybody from his team can assist him.
That's what happens when Grave, with his control and the kill of the Hun, along with Payne DeVion, meet up in the mid lane, immediately blowing up Moswell, the squishy Raijin, and now with the 5v4 and the big mage ultimate from Noble not going to be around, SPL Gatekeepers bring the Gold Fury down to half health. Wowie and Skeledon are here, but it looks like they don't really want to defend it. the Gold Fury goes down to Gatekeepers.
There's just no way that they can defend it. Pain's right there standing at the helm, stopping anybody from passing, and that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to be that zoning factor. Speaking of which, Wubbin just barely getting out with his life for the moment. It's going to be Skeleton, though, taking out a kill of the Hun.
Surprisingly able to get something out of that is Skeleton, despite the aggression onto Wubbin. Wow, he drops his ultimate on top of Mando Warrior, as well as Moswell pulling him back in with those Taiko drums. Wow, he cleans up Mando Warrior, and Pain is going to have to back off, but Grave is the one that gets caught out. Now it's 3-for-0 in favor of Noble.
Walrus with that Tiger Stun. Nobody saw it coming. Grave certainly didn't see it coming. And now it's going to be Day just forced back as 3 members of his team are still dead. I can definitely see Noble pressuring this T1 tower. They've got more than enough health to do so. Wowie just has to be careful not to expend too much mana so he can still use his 3 for an escape.
It feels like the fights have been going in favor of Noble, but the objectives are going in favor of SPL Gatekeepers. Now their gold lead only about 2,000. Noble fighting back into it, but they're going to need these fights to go their way as well. XP difference also trending back down. Take a look at those charts. This last big play coming out from Noble is what's pulling it back down closer into their favor and evening the game out a little bit more.
And I love that play from Noble because they didn't hesitate. That is such a key aspect for teams to keep in mind. A lot of the time, whenever they find these big kills or there'll be like 2-3 members dead, they don't necessarily pressure the advantage. Noble looking to play a little bit more objective-oriented this game, recognizing that was part of their flaws in the last.
Pain, Devion, and Grave again playing aggressive, forcing Wubbin to back up to avoid getting more damage in. Right now, the only objective up on the map is the Fire Giant, not imagining that anyone's going to want to go for that just yet. So instead, here, just looking for picks in the jungle. Look at them grouped up. Our SPL Gatekeeper so sneaky on the solo lane jungle, and Skeely might be in trouble.
And it is going to be Skeleton in trouble. Doesn't have the beads available. Can't even get the shield out in time. Supernova erasing his memory.
Lack of vision is all that was. There really aren't any wards on that side. So when Pain, Data Remember, and Grave are just, or rather, a Kill the Hun are just lurking around in the jungle, there really was no way for Skeleton to know how much trouble he was in, and he gets sent back to base very cleanly.
Noble are winning the team fights, but Gatekeepers are winning the pick war, and that is probably the more important one because it allows them to go for those janky shot calls where you don't really expect. Pain loves doing anything that's out of the ordinary, and calling objectives at the most bizarre times, such as just there could be 3 members present in the mid lane, and Pain's like, let's go Fire Giant. And he'll get away with it probably 70% of the time.
No one expects it, just like Noble didn't expect that blue buff getting taken away by SPL Gatekeepers. I love what we see here, too. In response to that gank on Skeely, immediately a ward drops right down on top of where they grouped up to set it up. So they say, hey, it ain't happening again. Tier 1 tower and solo lane falls, as well as Pain takes a little bit of poke on that duo lane side.
If anything, Skeleton got lucky that the only thing available at the moment was the T1 tower, with Gold Fury already having been secured. Speaking of which, a kill of the Hun forced out of both of his relics already, but now that means that Wubbin is susceptible to anybody collapsing on him.
Disapparate form was strong to get him away. Dharmic Pillar's committed to get damage, but now Wubbin's the one who's in trouble. Shield comes out and Grave can no longer commit to the fight, has to back up as Walrus rotates in on the backside, putting in good damage.
Seemed as though Aquila was ready to back to base and might have had that item store already open. We've all been there, but immediately recognizing as soon as he gets the call out from his team. Defender of Olympus coming through, and now what was once an invade from Noble is trying to be turned into a team fight by Gatekeepers.
Moswell up into that ultimate, trying to force out the members, but it's Pain getting the 2-man taunt, pulling him back in. Egg is coming out to immune the damage for Grave, but it's Walrus who's getting pulled back into several members. Still has his ultimate available, though, up on that somersault cloud, but where will he come crashing down?
Anywhere that doesn't have a member from Gatekeepers by it, and it's just going to be the Portal Demon that they have all their eyes on. Mando Warrior with a little bit of Fire Giant aggression, but Skeleton, I love that wraparound from the backside. Just too much damage before you can utilize it.
Immediately gets turned on. Portal Demon still available. Walrus very close, unable to stop it. It goes the way of Gatekeepers, and he pays for it with his life. Now it's a Wubbin getting slowed out by a kill of the Hun. Data Remember looked like he wanted to go aggressive, but he just backs on up. They're happy to take that portal.
Doesn't want to waste time with the chase, would rather back by and look to secure Fire Giant. That is the shot call right there.
That's the strength of veteran leadership, like from Pain to Beyond. We've got the Portal Demon. We've got the man advantage. Go back, get healthy, and let's start up this Fire Giant and force another fight. Fire Giant already down to 60% health. Wowie forced to back up, and it looks like SPL Gatekeepers are trying to bait the members of Noble into a bad situation. Skeleton wrapping around the back, looking to try and come in and contest. Fire Giant does go down for Noble, but Skeleton's in a bad spot.
But he got hit by that tether from Mando Warrior. It doesn't look as though they want to aggress any further, though. Playing it safe and instead just grouping up for that T1 tower push in the mid lane. And again, just appreciate the shot calling. And now it's going to be actually Mando Warrior getting ulted by Skeleton, forced out of his own ult. Wubbin dropping the Darwin Pillars on top of 3, but no kill secures for Noble.
Wubbin hoping perhaps for a harder commit, but the call was to back off. This team that we're fighting into has Fire Giant. No need to take that engagement there in mid lane as SPL Gatekeepers look to not only steal away this red buff, but start up this Gold Fury as well. Already down. Taken away by Data Remember.
If that engagement had happened a little bit deeper into the lane, say maybe in between the T2 and the Phoenix, then I think that Noble chase it. But considering how far up the lane that was, even with the T1 tower being there, T1 towers mean absolutely nothing against full build ADCs.
And this tier 1 tower in left, we're seeing how little it means, already getting shredded by the tower destructive power of Aquila the Hun on Soul and Data Remember on Jingwei, and that's something we haven't even touched on yet. With this comp, they're going to be decimating structures.
And that's exactly what's happening already. Noble just trying to clear away those creep waves, prevent that additional damage coming through from Data Remember and Aquila, but not sure how much longer they could try and hold out against this T2 tower siege.
Mando Warrior keeping Skeleton busy in mid lane by pushing the tier 1, and now the pull in is good. Wowie Ultimate Joe comes down to deter the aggression. Walrus already has to commit his as well. He's up on that Somersault Cloud and has to back off.
Walrus not having his ult, though, means that Noble probably shouldn't be hanging around this T2 much longer. They've got another wave pushing in from Gatekeepers, and with that tower being a little bit more than half health, not sure it's really worthwhile for Noble to stick around.
Pain's taunts have been just a nightmare this game as Wubbin immediately takes 60% of his HP, but Graves the one that's in trouble. Skeleton trying to chase him down. Grave commits the ultimate and turns it back around, setting up Mando Warrior to start smacking into Skeely.
But Skeely, again, caught by the tether, and now he'll get cleaned up by Data Remember. Beautiful slow and burst damage from Aquila the Hun.
That looks so good for Skeleton, chasing the tantalizingly low health Grave, but in the end, he's the one that gets blown up. Tier 2 tower falls, Skeleton falls, SPL Gatekeepers now up 10,000 gold, 13-7 are the kills, and it's in their favor.
Susano hasn't been held in the highest of favors since he was reworked a little bit in that passive, but that mobility is still coming into play pretty heavily, just the immediate dash away from Skeleton.
And he recognized the rotation from Mando Warrior as well, turns around and uses his ultimate to knock up Skeleton, setting up Mando Warrior to get off the tether and start putting in damage so they could clean up Skeleton. Tier 2 in mid lane now falls as SPL Gapers pull off the typewriter method and start moving around to the solo lane side so they can take this gold as well.
Still a little bit longer remaining on that Fire Giant. Wubbin and Wowie trying to get as much damage out on the Pain as possible, but he's a tanky Athena. Even at level 15, he just has too many items online for anybody from Noble, or at least for Wowie, to shred through him.
I like what I'm seeing here, though, from Moswall and Skeleton. They realized they couldn't really defend that tier 2, so they're pushing up the waves in duo and in the mid, taking the red buff off the map and getting what farm they can to try and slow down some of the bleeding coming from SPL Gatekeepers and at least push up those waves.
Moswall also just really needed that farm in general. With the entirety of Noble falling behind, it just means that Gatekeepers has also been stripping the map. When the map is stripped of all global farm, it just makes it so difficult for an enemy team, even in a defending position, to have any opportunities to really hold off.
Moswall is up at the top of his player damage for Noble, despite the fact that Aquila the Hun was able to get that Ra and Tahuti online already. A big power spike item that comes out for our mid lane mages. Is that just Moswall getting the damage off on the right targets?
I think that Moswall has been getting the damage off on the right targets, but it's also his pen-oriented build. He's got that Spear of the Magus, and he's also got an Obsidian Shard, so it's apparent that he was having a pretty hard time breaching through the defenses of Pain and Mando Warrior this game.
And Pain has been such a nuisance as SPL Gatekeepers clean up that Portal Demon. I know Pain Divion's not going to be leading any damage charts, but if there was a metric for how often he's taunted people into damage or how often he's forced out beads, then he'd be up at the top of it, really just dictating the flow and pace of the game with that Athena on the support.
And that's exactly what you need an Athena to do. You can't have a support that wants to play super passive. I mean, granted, you can take a more defensive stance with Athena, but that's not Pain's end game here. And instead, it's going to be the Fire Giant being pulled once more by Gatekeepers, and this is already gone. That's their objective.
Mando Warrior keeping Walrus from getting anywhere local as SPL Gatekeepers now do carry that Fire Giant. All three Phoenixes are exposed for Noble, and if any of this sounds familiar, it's a lot like where SPL Gatekeepers were sitting in the last set, but Noble put on a spectacular Phoenix defense, and they'll be looking to do that same thing here as SPL Gatekeepers group up on this solo lane side.
They won't have to worry about any of those Thoth ultimates, though, swinging through and taking out 4 people at 10% HP at the very least. They still have to worry about Pain, however. Wubbin already preemptively going up into the silence, trying to prevent it from happening, getting pulled in and knocked up by that Jingwei Athena taunt combo.
A little bit of poke from Data Remember on the kill of the Hun is all it takes to bring that Phoenix down to 60% HP. This time, Gatekeepers have a lot more Phoenix destruction in their kits as Moswell gets poked out. Dharmic Pillars and the Suns come out from Wowie. Now they're going to put some damage on, and Grave is very, very low. He has to back out right away. Phoenix still standing on the solo side.
That last tick of the Taiko drums just out of range of taking away Grave's life. Sprint has been popped. The disengage is being called. Gatekeepers just trying to get out after securing the right-hand Phoenix, and nobody from Noble wants to chase him for good reason. They have no way to.
SPL Gatekeepers get what they wanted there. They take the Phoenix. Everyone's still alive. Everyone still has that Fire Giant buff for around another 2.5 minutes. They're going to regroup and look to start pushing again as Pain Devion gets up that blue buff so that he can just have more taunts. He can just be spamming those abilities and continue to be a nightmare.
And granted, that's exactly what Day to Remember is starting to turn into for Noble. These crits and the consistent crits at have just been shredding through Noble, considering that they're pretty starved of gold right now.
Mid Phoenix is the one under siege now. Hanging out on the side is Skeledon, looking to see you can drop the ultimate on Dharmic Pillars one more time, pushed out for Wubbin. But this has been so strong from Gatekeepers. As soon as Dharmic Pillars come out, they full-on retreat.
And that's exactly what they need to be doing. No reason to fight unnecessarily, and fighting into Dharmic Pillars is really unnecessary. They can have more than enough time to wait out the duration of that ultimate. And sure, it's got a pretty short cooldown, but not a short enough cooldown to where this fight won't break out.
Two-man taunt coming out from Pain Devion, and the damage follows up right away. Wowie commits his ultimate on top of Mando Warrior to force the retreat, and the health bars for a kill of the Hun and Grave are very low, but they're hanging around with that Fire Giant buff to try and commit again.
Keep an eye on Skeledon. He still has his blink available, knowing that Gatekeepers just use a lot to disengage once more. A kill of the Hun, just trying to lock down this Phoenix with Data Remember by his side.
Skeledon blinks in, but immediately gets blown up. Moswell up in the air on the Taiko drums, but not able to get too much out of it as Wubbin gets smacked on by Mando Warrior. Mid Phoenix now falls, and the Raiju going through, getting a bunch of damage on the SPL Gatekeepers, but they don't care. Now they're moving over. They're backing off, and they said, hey, we want it. We're good.
I want to counter for how many times Grave has escaped at an unreasonable HP threshold, because he has just been taken off and zoom in all around the map, and it's typically at 5% health or less.
That's what Susano is so good at. He's got so much mobility, able to get out of these team fights to go along with the control he brings so well. Gold Fury goes down for SPL Gatekeepers to extend that gold lead out even further, getting closer now to about 15,000 in their favor. Phoenixes in the mid and solo are down. Fire minions are spawning and ready to start pushing in as SPL Gatekeepers regroup, and their Fire Giant's about to fall off.
In the last match, we saw a pretty similar scenario, although it took a little bit longer to reach. Instead, right around the 30-minute mark, Noble already down 2 Phoenixes. So Gatekeepers, they don't even necessarily need that last and final Phoenix. They'll probably look to take it just for good measure after securing the Fire Giant. But either way, all they really need is 2-3 picks at most. And the game is probably theirs.
And the big difference on them pushing in on these Phoenixes this time is Pain Divion on this Athena. Those Athena taunts are setting things up for his team so well. No way for Noble to fight into it the way they did so well last game. And that's without even having to worry about a final judgment. There's no Thothir this time.
There isn't, but there is a Portal Demon for Gatekeepers. As once more, that objective goes their way. Noble doing what they can to push out the fire groups, wanting to have as little of... They don't want Gatekeepers to have the fire creeps to their advantage. And if it means taking that little bit of a risk factor as a kill of the Hun, just goodbye, Walrus.
That's a big deal. Now it's a 5v4 in favor of SPL Gatekeepers, and they make a beeline to the Fire Giant, which is just spawning in. Mando Warrior continuing to push up the lane on the right-hand side as he has nothing to worry about. Fire Giant's already been deleted 31 minutes here into the game. Skeleton trying to push on that left-hand side, but he'll need to be here to slow down Gatekeepers as they come down this week in Phoenix.
The fact that Walrus didn't even get to use his Thorns, Sprint, or Ultimate leads me to believe that he just got completely destroyed off of a taunt from Pain Divion.
Right side Phoenix falls immediately. No defense from Noble as SPL Gatekeepers group up here in the mid lane to try and take down this Titan room. They go over to get the left side Phoenix first. They want to make sure this Titan is as low as possible. Wowie already having to back off his Aegis, already on cooldown as well. Look where Grave and Mando Warrior are as they clean up Wowie even in the base.
There was just no escape whatsoever. Skeleton looking to try and take out a kill of the Hun, knowing that his Aegis was down. Doesn't make a difference though. Instead getting turned on. Same can be said for the rest of his team. Kill the Hun kills another. Cleaning up Wubbin. Now it's going to be Moswell falling. Lone Survivor Walrus getting to use that ultimate and his Thorns. Can't save the Titan.
SPL Gatekeepers, they take the Titan, they take the lives of Noble, and they take